everyone. Welcome to Lesson 10, Part 1, Introduction to Google Sheets. So first of all, let's start with defining spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is an electronic document where data is arranged and organized in the rows and columns of a grid. And we often use spreadsheets for things like creating a budget, forming graphs and charts, creating lists, workplace timesheets, and keeping track of sports statistics. So no matter what kind of job you end up working in, it's possible you might have to use a spreadsheet or at least recognize and know how to read a spreadsheet. Here's an example of a spreadsheet that's being used to make a budget. So you can see over here, they've got, well, first of all, you can see that everything is arranged in rows and columns. That's part of what makes it a spreadsheet. Now, over here in the first column, you've got categories of things you might spend money on. Here you have the percent of total, so it gives you a breakdown of what portion of your money you're spending on different things. And here you have how much you're spending on a monthly basis in these different categories. There's lots of ways you can customize a budget, but it's a great way to keep track of what you're spending on different things and help you manage your money a little bit better. Spreadsheets are not only used for practical things like budgets. They can also be used for your hobbies. If anyone is a sports fan, this right here is a spreadsheet for organizing NFL player stats. This is not just something you could do for football. You could do this for any sport. There's really no shortage of uses for spreadsheets. To get started, you'll need to open up your Google Drive. We are going to be using Google Sheets, which is a free spreadsheet software that's available through Google. When you're in your Drive, to open up a new Google Sheet, you go to the New button, and then you select Google Sheets. When you do that, you'll get a blank spreadsheet that looks like this. And like I said before, you could use this blank spreadsheet to create a budget, to create a schedule, or just in general to organize information. Here we have highlighted some important vocabulary and terms that you'll need to know. So first of all, just like in Google Docs or any other Google apps, you have a place up here at the top left to put your title in, where it says Untitled Spreadsheet. Each one of these boxes, or I should say rectangles that you see throughout the grid, we call each one of those a cell. Now the cell is identified by the row and column that it's in. Because as you can see, the spreadsheet is broken up into columns, these up and down guys, and those columns are named with a letter. And it's also broken up into rows, and those rows are named using the numbers on the left here. So we use the number row and the letter column to identify individual cells. So this cell right here would be cell A1. This cell right here that I'm inside would be cell E3, because you can see it's the third one down. So that's an important thing to note first, how to name cells. You also have a location here where you can use any of these buttons to format the number that you have, the number or text that you have in the cells. You can format it to be money, you can tell it to be a percentage, a decimal. You have a lot of options here. Here are the text formatting options. These should look familiar to you because they're the same as Google Docs and as Microsoft Word. So you can change the font, the size of the font, bold, italics, and the color. You also have this button right here that looks kind of like a window. That's the button that you use to create cell borders. So as you can see now, all of the cells have kind of a light grayish color around them, those grids. Using this button, you can change those grids to be outlined in black. The reason you might want to do that is to make certain information stand out or to otherwise organize your spreadsheet. Here you have a button to align the text. So this button will help align the text either in the center, left, or right of a cell. Right here, you have an option to share this spreadsheet with other people, just like on Google Docs. And here you have an option to insert hyperlinks into your spreadsheet. Everything that you see right here is on a document that is posted on Google Classroom. So it's available to you. You can open it up, you can print it so that you have all of the vocab in one place for yourself. And finally, you can also print the spreadsheets that you create using this button. So this has given you some basics of how to use a spreadsheet. Your assessment for this video is going to be to take a spreadsheet that has been provided to you and use some of these buttons here to reformat it and really explore some of the functions of Google Sheets. I'm going to walk you through the first couple steps for that so that you see how it's done, and then I'll let you take the rest on your own. So let's say you are on the home page of Google Classroom and you're looking at the work that's been assigned to you, and you're all the way down in Lesson 10. And I'm in Lesson 10, Part 1, Assessment. And I'm going to click down here where it says View Assignment, so I can see the whole assignment. Now, there's going to be two things attached to the assignment. There are all the instructions right here. You're going to have a copy of the instructions as a PDF. And then you should also have a Google Sheet attached right here. If you don't see the Google Sheet down here, like you don't see on mine, the Google Sheet will be up here where it says Your Work. So that's where mine is, and I'm going to click on it. It should say your first and last name and then cell phone workbook. And now you see I have two tabs open. I have the Lesson 10 Part 1 assessment here, and I have my workbook here. I'm going to be able to go back and forth between them. That's really useful because here I have all the instructions on what I'm supposed to do. And of course, this is my spreadsheet that I'm doing those things to. So let me go back to Lesson 10 Part 1 assessment, and it says, first step, let's see, click on the title and change the document name to first and last name and cell phone minutes. So I'm going to go back here, tap where the name is, and it says my first and last name, Maggie Murray, but then it should say cell phone minutes. So I'm going to highlight that and instead type in cell phone minutes on my keyboard. And if you just click anywhere else, it'll save that. Now I'm going to go back up to Lesson 10 Part 1 Assessment, and it says Formatting. And the first formatting is highlight cells B3 through E3, then click the bold tool. So let's remember that, B3 through E3. So I'm going to come up here to my spreadsheet and locate B3 right here. And I want to highlight from B3 all the way over to E3. In order to do that, I click on B3 and I hold down with my mouse, and then I drag to the right until I hit E3, and then I let go. And you can see it's all blue and highlighted. And then it said to make it bold. So now that it's highlighted, I go up here to the B for bold, tap it, and I've made my text bold. Okay, so first step done. Let's go back to the assessment. And it says highlight the entire sheet, Control A, then change the font size to 14. So I go back up here, highlight the entire thing. So on my keyboard, I'm going to hold down Control and then press A, and you see it highlighted everything. For me, it didn't quite highlight the stuff up here. So if that happens to you, tap anywhere outside to unhighlight, hold down Control and hit A again, and now you can see it highlighted everything. So now I'm going to go up here to this 12 is the font size, and you see when I hover my cursor over it, a little box pops up and tells me its font size. If I click on the arrow next to the 12, here are all my font size options, and I'm going to select 14, and you see my text got larger. So now to unhighlight, I'm going to tap in any other cell, and it's unhighlighted. Now I go back up to the assessment. I'll let you do the other two formatting on your own. Let's look at selecting cells and entering data. It says select highlight cell F2, then type in cost. So if I go back up here, I go to F2 right here, and I'm going to type in on my keyboard cost. And that's how, in order to type in a cell, you just have to click on it once, and when it's outlined in blue, you are in that cell. And then when I start typing, it's going to appear. So my next part of the assessment is, let's see, select cell G2, then type in 0.08. Okay, so G2, I've clicked on it, it's highlighted in blue, so it's selected, and then I type on my keyboard 0.08, enter. Now when you're done typing, you want to hit enter on your keyboard. So you can see it's like this while I'm typing. When I hit enter, then it's done, it goes away from that cell. Okay, I'm gonna let you do the rest of this on your own. Now there's an Autosum feature. So if I go up here to, it says Autosum, highlight B4 to D4 and select Autosum function. So I'm gonna come up here to my cell phone minutes, and it said B4 through D4. So I clicked and held in B4, dragged over and let go, and that highlighted. And then my Autosum feature is over here, where it says functions. When I click on the arrow next to it, it just says sum. And when I click that, it creates a little function here. It's like basically doing some math for me. And then when I hit enter on my keyboard, you can see it automatically is adding up everything to the left. So I'm going to let you practice the rest on your own. Just follow these instructions carefully. And if it mentions any buttons that you're not familiar with, go back to your spreadsheet and just hover your cursor over the buttons without clicking, and it will tell you what each button does. So if you're not sure about a button, come up here and do this until you find the right one. Now, the directions right here, they're very small, kind of light font. It might be hard to keep track. This right here is another copy of the instructions, and it's a little bit clearer. So if you're having trouble reading these, just click on the instructions here, open them up, and you can still go back and forth. Okay, so you have completed the video for part 1, Intro to Google Sheets. Now you'll have to return to the Google Classroom classwork page and take the Lesson 10 Part 1 assessment. If you get stuck at any point or you don't remember what we did in this video, come back and feel free to watch this video as many times as you need. Good luck!